Americans who say the state of the economy is most important in how they plan to vote in November's presidential election use that as an excuse to support Donald Trump, despite all the reasons we know of not to support him. I'm Steffanie Rivers, and you're watching my journal. Now it's looking like the economics excuse isn't going to give people the cover that they were looking for anymore. And here's why. Under the Biden administration, there were 240,000 new jobs added to the U.S. market in September. Now, that's according to the U.S. Department of Labor statistics. 81,000 of those jobs were in education and health services. 78,000 were in leisure and hospitality. 31,000 of those jobs were in government services. 25,000 in construction, and 17,000 in business and professional services. And that's just in the top 5 sectors of the economy. And since Donald Trump can't erase those numbers and take credit away from Biden Harris, he did the next best thing in his false sense of reality. He posted a lie on social media that said JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon, one of the most influential people in the economic sector, had endorsed him for president. Now, how do I know it's a lie? Because JP Morgan Chase made their own post and they said it was a lie. Dimon did not endorse Trump for president. In fact, Dimon hasn't endorsed anyone for president, and that's his right to endorse or not endorse anyone. But Trump so can't stand that when he is not the focus of a news story, he's willing to post a lie, even if it's easily fact checkable. American voters know all that they need to know about Donald Trump, that he's a liar, that he's a cheater in his personal life and his business life, that he has no respect for military people dead or alive, that he objectifies women, even his own daughter, that he will walk off the job with classified documents and defy multiple requests to return them. He has no respect for authority unless that authority supports what Donald Trump wants. And even when people's lives are in danger, as they were during the January 6th insurrection, according to details from the unsealed court documents that were filed against Trump, that he is still willing to not care whether or not it affects anybody except himself. We all know that his former cabinet members, except for about 2 or 3, officially have said that they don't support him for re-election and they would never work in his administration if he is elected again. But even long-time Republicans like Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney, they've said that they support Kamala Harris for president. Yes, we all know everything we need to know about Donald Trump. The issue is, after all that we know about him, there are still millions of people who will support him with their vote. And that says more about America as a whole than it says about Donald Trump as an individual. Now, for those people who still want to cling to the notion that a Trump economy is better for America, I'm going to go over some information with you. If you haven't already, be sure to like, share, and subscribe so that when I post new videos, you'll be the first to know. Now, I hope some of those people who are clinging to the notion that a Trump economy is better for America, I hope you've done your homework on that, because it's not just about the price of eggs and milk and if you can afford rent, although we know that is very important to us individually. But it's also important about how the deportation of 11 million people, immigrants, would affect our economy as we know it today. Snatching 11 million people from the economy would be like snatching the bottom out of the house of cards. It's likely that the whole thing will crumble and come tumbling down. But for Donald Trump, it sounds good to say, I'm going to deport 11 million people on day one, or I'm going to start that on day one, not following up with, well, how are you going to do that? How are you going to make it happen? How are you going to make it make sense? How's it going to affect the economy? Those are important things to ask and to have answers to. The economy would be truly such a mess if that started to happen, that somebody like Donald Trump would and could declare that only he could fix it because he was the one who did all that. And he would use that as an excuse to stay in office and never leave. Basically, we know that's probably how he would handle that type of an issue. Now, when would it benefit him? He would be the person to have caused that in the first place. So then more people would likely say, well, if he caused that, then let's let him fix it. And of course, that probably would take longer than the 4 years that it took him to do it. So next week, I'm going to start a series on what our economy would look like if we deported 11 million immigrants from the United States. And I'm not even saying 11 million illegal immigrants, because if they're illegal and they shouldn't be here, then I too am for the deportation of illegal immigrants. But here's the thing. How are you going to know if they're illegal or if they are legal? Because based on some protocol that I will go into next week or in this series that I'm going to start, there are ways where the government could legally deport people who are here as immigrants legally. I hope that made sense, because based on what is going on. And let's just say they started out deporting illegal immigrants. How are you going to know who's illegal or who's not legal and who's legal? What, you're just going to go off of skin color? You're going to go off of what you think? You're going to go off of just so many questions as to how legal immigrants could get caught up in this illegal importation mass exodus, that it would just cause major chaos. So next week, starting next week, we'll look at what it would mean to deport 11 million immigrants from the United States, how that could be done, and how people who are in America legally would get caught up in that current. And if you haven't already, be sure to like, share, and subscribe so that when I post new videos, you'll be the first to know. It was a short conversation today, but if you want to follow up on this and you have your own story about how you've been affected in any way, or you have any comments about what I've said, you can go to the written version of my journal. That's at eurweb.com. Thank you so much and have a super day.